Today I'm going to be replacing the taillights on this GMC with Alpha Rex. It's going to really change up the look of this vehicle, and then we are going to do a set of Morimoto headlights in the front. So we're going to use a T15 Torx, and we're going to remove the factory bolt. Yep, you just drop those on the floor. We'll pick those up here in a sec because we'll need that. I'm going to show you guys, once you get those two out, you want to be careful with these, and you want to grab, I kind of wedge my fingers up in here, and we just kind of pull, and out the light comes. And then we're going to undo all of the factory bulbs. And just kind of let those hang carefully. Now that we got the taillight pulled, the harness hanging, we are going to remove the factory taillight retainers, and we are going to install them on the new taillight. And then one thing I did run into when I was installing that side is, for whatever reason, the metal clips right here do not work with the Alpha Rexes and that T15 bolt right here. So we're going to remove these as well and then put them onto the aftermarket taillight. That way everything snugs up the way it should. I'm going to end up breaking these free by hand, and then we'll remove them the rest of the way with the ratchet. I just like to just kind of start these things because it's plastic holding them in by hand. That way I have a little more control over it. One thing I do want to make mention of is on these factory brake light retainers, you'll notice a little dimple. You're going to want to line that up with the rib, or that right there on the taillight. It's simple as that. And then you're going to take your ratchet and run these. One thing I did mention before was on that driver's side, I was having issues with the factory screw and these clips that they had installed on their lights. So I took the factory ones off the old tail light, and I'm just gonna snap them on here. Simple little flathead pulls them off. They just slide on like that. It's that easy. We are going to go ahead and hook up all the wiring and whatnot. I will come get you guys after I've done that, because there's no way I can do this one-handed. So we are gonna keep one of the factory bulbs out of this entire setup. It's going to be this one here in the middle. It's the reverse light. What I am going to recommend that this customer does, one, because the taillights are now tinted, and two, because it's going to look way better, is upgrade these factory halogens to a set of aftermarket LEDs. It'll just kind of complete the whole look. Another thing I'm going to check out is that the license plate bulbs are LED as well, because I'm one of those kind of people that once you start switching to LED, it all should go, because I personally think it just looks a little bit better. But yeah, just something simple as changing out the taillights can make a huge difference to the look of a vehicle. Now that we got this knocked out, I'm going to put these in the back seat, get the tailgate cleaned off, and then we're off to the front to put on the headlights. We're going to tear down the front end of this GMC to get these headlights in. It's going to be all these plastic clips up along the top. Then we got to pull the grille. Once we do that, there's a couple of bolts to get the headlights out. Got the cover removed. After you get it taken off, we're going to be pulling all four of these 10 millimeters. And then we'll go ahead while we're up here and pull these two for the headlights. Once when we do, we're going to pull this grille away. It's pretty straightforward. If you look right in there, there's a couple of those clips. You just got to give it a tug and they'll come right out. Just be careful and pull straight out as opposed to kind of away and at an angle. Got the grille pulled out. Next step is going to be removing this plastic piece. Once when we get that off, it'll give us access to the bolts that are up inside there to get the whole headlight housing out. So to remove this plastic piece, what we're going to do is there's 2 7mm up in here, and then we're going to pull this away. When you pull this away, there is a clip right here that is 3M taped to this flare for whatever reason. So when you pull it away, the tape is going to tear, and then you'll have other plastic clips that you'll pull out of the fender up here. That allows you to pull this away, giving you access to being able to remove this piece. You're also going to want to remove this Christmas tree right here. So we're going to be super careful. We're going to remove there's little black clips up in here all along. That's what that flathead screwdriver's for, is because the interior tool doesn't really make it as easy. But once when you get that pulled away, this whole piece will then I'll come grab the camera, because this whole piece will kind of rock out and it feels like you're doing something wrong, but you are not. Now that I got this popped free, those little tabs I was talking about are up in here. There's 3 of them here. These ones aren't as bad. If you pull from back here in the fender well, they kind of pop right out. But these front ones, they're a bit of a pain. So I can see in like around the 10 year of this vehicle, maybe a little bit longer, this plastic becomes brittle, or these clips do, and then we run into issues later on trying to remove these headlights. After you're done with that, you're going to take this and very carefully rock that piece out. It'll slip past the headlight itself, and then you just kind of come around and just work it. So now that we have both our plastic pieces removed, we're gonna go ahead and up in here, there's a 10mm right there, and then there's one right here. After you get those 2 pulled off, the headlights come out, we'll slap the new ones in, and then it's basically reverse order. Couple things to make note of when you're pulling out the headlight. One, you only get it out so far. You're looking for this connector right here. Basically it just unplugs and then the headlight comes off. It's really simple. Also, another thing to keep in mind is right here where this bolt goes in, there's this little tab, so you kind of have to pull out and then shift over the headlight and kind of give it a little wiggle. It'll come out. But yeah, so we got that removed. I got one more to go. So once you get the box open, you'll find this little harness in here. And what we're gonna do is pull the lid off the fuse box. We're gonna come right here to fuse 39, which is that bad boy right there, that 10 amp, the red one. We're gonna pull that fuse, and then we're gonna run this wire, basically stick this in that fuse hole. It gives us the factory fuse and then the one for their headlights. This thing basically makes it so if you blow, for whatever reason there's a short, you'll blow this 5 amp as opposed to 10, but it still allows you to piggyback power off of it. We're gonna run it down through across the other headlights, and then it'll hook up to this little connector here. Once you get that plugged in, you hook your headlight connector up to the factory harness, and then here's where you can have some fun is if you want sequential, you undo this plug. If you want just one solid turn signal, you leave it together. Me personally, I think sequential is cool, as do most people. So we're gonna unhook it for the customer and run it that way. All right, now we're gonna take this bottom piece off. Pull that off, and then it'll actually slide back to come off. So after that piece slides off, we're gonna come over here to this headlight right here, and you see these 3 ridges right here, they go into those 3 holes. It'll slide down on, and then we will put our T20s back into those holes, which will go into those steps. Got the front end all put together. Make sure before you get this far that you test your headlights The reason is you don't want to put all this back together and then have to tear it back apart just to make sure a connection or something is correct. So test, reassemble. We're gonna put the top back on. Once when we do that, we'll get it backed up out of the bay. We'll aim it towards our garage door, get the headlights adjusted. So that's the install of the headlights. Not too bad, not the easiest, but hopefully this will give you a guide on how to do them. They turned out pretty cool. I like the sequential. Here's how the taillights turned out. Gives this truck a completely different look. This finishes up the video on how to install the headlights and taillights on this 16 GMC Sierra 2500. If you guys like what you see here, go ahead and shoot me a like. I will catch you guys later.